Hey, it's Sonia with SEH Unlimited. How you doing today? It's Friday. So, a couple things that I want to say. Number one, um, there is going to be a first-time home buyers class. Let me find the information on that. I included it in the information here, but it's going to be in Bellevue, Washington, uh, March 11th. So that's a week and a day from now. So next weekend, and it's going to be at 3633 136 Place Southeast, Suite 210 in Bellevue. So, if you're looking to buy a home, I think this would be a very good class for you to check out. Um, Another announcement, Skagit River Produce Market. Um, they are being featured on the calendar for the Tulip Festival. Tulip Festival is a big festival we have up in Mount Vernon every year, and I'm pretty excited for them. Pretty excited. Hopefully, I'll be there. Hopefully, I'll have some stuff there. You never know, but I'm getting my stuff together anyway. And today, I thought I would talk about credit cards. So I'm not a financial guru. I'm not somebody who knows everything. I don't have any letters behind my name or anything like that. I'm just looking this stuff up. And when I was young, this is information I really could have used. And in my daily life, I come across people that could use this information too. So, that being said, hello. Let's see. So, I wanted to talk about credit cards. So with credit cards, it's like what it is an agreement between you and a financial institution, and they say, hey, based on your credit score, you have up to this set amount of money that you can borrow at any time you want to. And there's a set interest rate, and there are fees depending on how you're borrowing the money. For instance, you could have and when I say borrow the money, I don't mean every time you go in, you go in and fill out to borrow money. You get a credit card that has what is called a credit limit. And let's just say your credit limit's $1,000. Okay, for anything you purchase up to $1,000, you get an interest rate based on those purchases. Now, there's a different interest rate if you transfer balances from another card. There is a different interest rate and other fees if you use that card to get cash. And so I did a little looking, and well, let's get to it. And by the way, I hope you're all doing well. I've had a rough couple of days. I didn't know if I was going to be able to be here today, but I am here. Okay, so credit cards. I've already explained agreeing to loan you information. Some of them they have yearly fees, whereas some of them don't. If you're looking at a card with a yearly fee, you want to look at the benefits of that card to make sure that that yearly fee is worth it. For instance, if you travel a lot and you get a card that has a $95 a year fee, but they give you a bunch of bonus miles to travel, that might be worth it for you because you might be paying $35 or $95 per year to save on a lot of your trips. So, you want to weigh and evaluate any credit card you get and make sure that this works for you. And the credit card companies, that I'm sure they feel the same because if you're happy with them, you're going to tell your friends and they're going to have business with them. You're not going to go bad on your contract. You're going to make sure your payments are made and things like that. That being said, Credit cards can be a slippery slope because you get everything up front and then you can end up, $100 item, but if you just make minimum payments, could end up costing you 5 times more. So you really want to look at that stuff, and that's kind of why. That's not the whole reason I'm here, but I want to share it. Do your research, and um, anyway, let me get back to my paper here. Okay, so establishing a line of credit. A credit is a credit is a preset limit available for loan with interest and other fees. When you make a purchase, when you take your card and you go into and you have lunch using that card, you are technically borrowing that money. You are saying, I'm going to pay this money back. And if you don't pay that money back, they have, the whole balance. They, they charge you a minimum balance and you get accruing interest on that. Now, there are several different types of cards. Maybe I should start with that. Uh, ATM card. Usually you get those with your when you open a checking or savings account. ATM card usually does not have a Visa Mastercard logo on it. You use a PIN, you access money directly from your account. Usually, the only fees that you see with that are your ATM fees. For instance, the ATM you're using will charge you a fee, and then your bank will also charge you a fee. So when you're using any kind of card and card machine, you know, there are a lot of financial institutions out there that are contracting with each other so that you don't have to pay those fees. And there are different banks that offer you ATM cards, but because they're not a local bank, you don't have to pay the ATM fees. They'll reimburse you for them. So when you think about an ATM fee, this is a computer that you're putting your card in. You're identifying yourself, and you're saying, "Give me some money." Okay, and there's a fee for that. That fee, it pays for the machine being there, the insurance, making sure, protect your account, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Um, you can also have these cards that draft directly from your checking or savings account that have a Visa or MasterCard logo. And those cards you can use in a store as a credit card. And the cool thing about that is that it drafts your account. You're not looking at paying interest fees and things. However, you be aware of the posting order, and your account might charge you overdraft fees. We could talk about that later. Now, as far as credit cards where they loan you the money and you use it, um, there are secured credit cards. A secured credit card is where you send them a certain amount of money and they hold on to it. And you use that card, that amount of money that you send them, let's say it's $200. So you send them $200. They hold that $200 for you, and you have a credit limit of $200. This is this is okay to well, I'm not I'll have to do some checking into that if that can build your credit. I think it can. Um, but a secured credit card, basically what you're saying is if I don't pay, you get to keep my money. And it helps you establish a credit history. It helps you establish a payment history, which is what a lot of companies are looking for. And they're now credit cards with no uh, no deposit. In other words, they just tell you that they're going to loan you a certain amount of money, and you will pay them. You either pay the card off when you use it or that month. Some have a grace period, some don't, as far as your interest charges. And a lot of them have different benefits. Like there are travel benefits, there are cash back options, there are discount offers. And so, I mean, they can be very useful, but you really want to be careful because you don't want to get yourself in a position where you have a lot of credit card debt and not a lot of money to pay for it. And that's why I'm here. Just putting out ideas to think about. I wish I had had this when I was young. Um, when I was young, I'll tell you a story. I get a phone call one day from a credit card company telling me that I didn't pay my bill. I didn't have any credit cards. In fact, I thought my credit was so bad I didn't even bother applying for credit cards. And it turned out that somebody had stolen my identity. And so I told that credit card company, I said, well, if you're going to give somebody else a credit card using my information, you should just give me one, which was really a cool thing that I did because they can do, they looked at how I used my card compared to how this stolen card was used, and they knew I didn't do it. So that was really kind of good. It's kind of a funny story. What? You gave somebody a credit card in my name? Can I get a credit card? But you gotta also be aware of, you know, um, your stolen identity. Um, with my cards, one thing I do use a lot is the lock feature, which means if somebody walks up to you and they got one of those little scanner things that scan all your card information, um, my card's locked. So I try to, your benefits are not just discounts and flight miles and stuff like that. Benefits can be the security of the card for the security, like being able to turn it on and off. Um, see, I want to get into the bank stuff, but I'm not going to going back to the credit card. Okay. Okay, so when borrowing money from the credit card in the form of a purchase, you can choose to pay that off in full every month, or you can carry over the balance. The agreement that you make with that company specifies the minimum payment, your interest rate, and associated fees. As far as your credit score goes, if you're trying to raise that rule of thumb, use 30% or less of your credit. This might be 38% of your credit score. Ways to build your credit history is pay bills on time and in full, use less than 30% of your available credit. Now, the convenience of credit cards is you don't have to carry cash. Um, there's a record of every purchase that you make. Oh, personal joke. And you have an alibi. Anyway, um, benefits to the credit score that factors things like the benefits to your credit score factors things like the debt you owe, your payment history, how long you've had the card, and how you manage your card. Another benefit of a credit card is if you have a big ticket item that you want to buy, but you don't have the money right then and there, you can buy it and then you can either pay it off that month or you can pay it off over time. And then another thing is that with a credit card limit balance, this is in no way to replace an emergency account. But if you have an unexpected event, you do have some money set aside that you can borrow. Now, when you're looking at all these different credit card offers, look at them and sit down and think about it. Think about the interest rates. to carry a balance, the annual percentage rate. A good annual percentage rate, as far as what I was able to find online, is 15%. Um, 24.99%, it's reasonable, but it's not ideal. Um, as far as the fees, there could be a membership or annual fee, cash advance fee, balance transfer fee, foreign transfer fee, late or returned item fee. If you want to, look at the credit card agreement for all the potential fees that you can be charged, because you don't really want to be surprised with this stuff. It's easy to overshoot your projected budget with these cards, and that was one thing I did when I was young, when I got my first credit card, because then I went and got a gas card. Then I had a store card. I thought I was doing it. Okay, now this was way back in the day when minimum wage was like I was making $3.35 per hour. My checks every 2 weeks were less than $100. And so I got these cards and I'm like, oh, I only got to pay the minimum payment. Well, when I had five minimum payments of $20, that was more than 50% of what I was making in a month. Um, and yeah, I went bad on some of those. I eventually got them all paid off and stuff like that. But at the same time, it was very uncomfortable knowing that there was this money out there that I owed, and I couldn't use the cards anymore. It's like, man, I want to go out. Man, I can't. So be very careful with them. Just because you're okay to borrow the money, it doesn't mean it's in your budget. Speaking of in your budget, there's a link. There's a there's a friend of mine sent me a video of this guy. I'm looking for it here so I can, because I want to put. Oh, I'll go looking for it, but I'll add it to the chat. Um, he does videos where he talks to people. He looks at their finances and their interest rates, what they're doing, what they're making, why they're making the decisions that they're making, and he tells them straight out, if this is what you want to do, this is how you get there. He gives them a little map, which I think is just awesome. And another reason why I want to have this channel here is because as this little support, it's like, you know, I don't get me wrong, all my stuff is good, all my bills are paid on time, but I know I could do better with making my money work for me. And, I sent him an email, and part of me hopes he doesn't email me back, but part of me is like, if he does, that's going to be interesting. But at least I'm not as in much trouble as I was many, many years ago. Now, the thing about having a budget and credit cards, it's easy to end up overshooting your budget and paying interest for items that were unplanned or not needed. For instance, if you have a credit card balance of, say, $1,000, you go out to eat every weekend, use the card. You go out, you play pool, you go out, you grab some cash, you go to the casino. That's using that, and you're going to end up paying a lot of interest depending on how long it takes for you to pay it back. And then, in addition to the interest, for instance, if you pull cash out, then you're paying a fee just off the bat for doing that. So, having these things are awesome, but having a plan for how you're going to use them and what you're going to do with them, having a plan is what you want because the last thing you need is money stress on top of all the other stresses in the world. So I wrote this: picking a credit card, points of interest. You want low, fixed annual percentage rate, a grace period. Now, what a grace period is a lot of companies will have a 25-day grace period. So you go and put something on the card, you pay it off. That same month, you don't pay any interest on it. That's a pretty good thing. And then, of course, I wrote here about annual membership fee. Is it worth it? Um, another thing is look up, if you have a problem, do they have customer service available to help you? Is there international support if you happen to be out of the country? Um, look at the rewards that are offered, make sure you can use them. So if you're not somebody who travels, it doesn't do anything for you if you get a card with a bunch of airplane miles. If you don't travel, you're not going to use them. What's the point? Um, you want a card with some security features like a chip, PIN, fraud alerts are helpful tools. Um, uh, some cards have you can set them up to text you every time there is something purchased on that card, which I think is very useful. Um, when I was riding the bus to work, I'd be up at 5:30 in the morning getting ready to get on the bus, and I get a text from my card company telling me that there was a purchase, and this is around Christmas time when people do a lot of shopping, that there was a purchase made. And so I was able to call them. And I said, that wasn't me. And, they looked at it and they said, well, they used the wrong zip code. And they pretty much decide, I didn't have to fill out a bunch of paperwork and stuff like that. And if they do tell you you need to fill out some paperwork, don't be ashamed of that. All it is them putting their ducks in a row and saying this, this wasn't you. But luckily, they didn't have the right information, so it never went through anyway. So that was nice. Now, with your security, um, I already mentioned another thing I like is lock and unlock features. The only inconvenience I've had with that is when I forgot to unlock my card and I went to the store. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. So, I unlocked it. Um, as far as when you get your statements and things like that, it's a good idea. If you get your paperwork, it's a good idea if you still get it in the mail, because a lot of companies, they want you to do where they send everything to your email. But get if you get paper statements, when you decide to get rid of those, um, it's a good idea to shred them, burn them. I burn mine because I have a wood stove, so I burn mine. It's rip them. And the other thing, when I used to get rid of mine and before I had a shredder, I would tear the personal information off and I wouldn't put them in the trash at the same time. It's like if it had my account number on, I'd rip the account number off and then I'd tear it up into little pieces and uh, I would take some of those, I kept them in a little bucket and mix them up. And when I went to different places, I'd wrap some in and throw them away there. That way it's not associated with my address if somebody's dumpster diving. If they're dumpster diving, they're going to see a whole bunch of little numbers, but they don't know what it goes to. And because I'm not just saying, rip up the account number. What I'm doing is tearing each number and jumbling them up with, yeah, protecting yourself. Because the fraud is just absolutely crazy these days. People have ended up owning other people's homes on paperwork that they have fraudulently submitted. So please be careful with that. Now, when you're doing online shopping, make sure to shop only secured sites, or the other option is, oh, and I didn't even say that, a prepaid card. Okay. So a prepaid credit card is a card that you load money onto, and you can use that as a Visa or MasterCard. Usually it costs a certain amount to load the funds on there. Um, some cards, depending on the card, I found out how I could transfer funds to that, and then I didn't have to pay that fee. But you want to think about that. Um, but a prepaid card, if you're shopping on unsecured websites and stuff like you find this just incredible deal, great. Use a prepaid card because what will happen is if your information is insecure and somebody ends up using that information, they can't attack your credit card. They can't get into your bank account because a prepaid card is you put some cash on it and that's the cash that's available. It's just like carrying cash in your pocket. Um, and now there is one card that I have that offers what I call masking. And so, you know, I'll get on their website and say, hey, I'm going to shop at Walmart, Walmart online. And they will, I'll have my card number here, but they will give me a separate kind of a masking number to use on that company's website. That way they don't have all of my information. They just have the card information and the payment. Now I thought that was really cool. And you know, unfortunately, theft is a huge risk these days. Now, of course, there's physical theft where they come up to you and take your money. Digital theft, that's when they go online, they steal your credit card number, they steal your ID, set up credit cards, bank accounts, and things like that. So you want to be really careful who you share your information with. One of the scams that has been going on forever, um, especially with utilities. Just a moment here. Ooh, water. Best thing in the world for you. With utilities, what they'll do is they'll contact somebody, tell them they owe money. Now one of the scams was where they would have you go, they would say, oh, we're gonna turn off your service in about half an hour unless you pay us this amount of money. And no, you cannot go and pay it on a website. It'll take too long. You'll get your lights turned off. What you want to do is you want to go get a prepaid credit card, load the money onto it, and then I need all the numbers off the card front and back. They're stealing your money okay? They're stealing your money. No utility company that I know of will have you go and get a prepaid card to make a payment. Now, when I was young, we used to get our lights shut off all the time. You know, my mom, she's so funny. One day she comes in the house and she says, I paid the cable bill, then our lights went off. Now, they were sending people out, and the people would come to the door, hey, we're going to shut you off unless you can give us this much money. They had a badge from the utility company. That's number one. Number two, if you owe money to your utility company, you know it because you ain't paid your bill. Okay. So, because I've had people contact me saying that, they wanted to check their account balance because they got this phone call. And, it's if you're taking care of your money will take care of you. And when you take care of your money, that means you know what you owe, you know what you don't owe. And, you know, you watch out for stuff like this. And sometimes these people they can be pretty conniving and they can be pretty abusive. They come on as your friends. I mean, I've watched about these scams all the time with, hi, yeah, your grandson, yeah, he need bail money. And it's like some people get befriended. Just remember this. If you're going to give somebody access to your money, know who you're giving it to and why. If you don't know those two things, don't give them no money. If they're telling you something that don't sound right, if they say, "Oh, well, call the company, here's the number." Don't call the number they give you. You go to your documentation and call the number that you have for that company, and you find out from them, what's the status of your account. Don't be afraid to call. Don't be afraid to call. I had someone calling me on the regular, and I just knew it was a scam call. But then one day they said something um, pretty, I was like, I better check this out. And telling me that they work for the FBI and people were watching me. I'm like, watch all you want, you know, because I don't do anything. And so I didn't call the number that they gave me to reach this officer. I actually called that department. The lady answers, she goes, "It's a scam." I'm like, "All righty then. That's all I needed to know." So that's why I say don't call the numbers that they give you. You call the number that you have. If you don't have that number because it's a company you don't do business with, you look them up online and you call that number. And do not forget to report to the FBI about the scams. I should probably put that in here. It's justice.gov. And in there, in fact, I can just show you what I'm doing. Let me go back here. Okay, so this is the US Department of Justice website. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the home screen. This is what it looks like when you would first go in here. You know, you can look in about them, their work, news, resources, and look at this. They got grants. What kind of grants they got? But they have grants. That's kind of cool. But up here in the search, type in fraud and um, fraud section, criminal division, Justice Department. But eventually, you would find a place where you can report the fraud. Or now, see, if I go say report identity theft to FBI, see this one here? It's an ad. When it says an ad, that means it's a different company. Um, FBI.gov, seeking victims of identity theft investigation. And right here, you go in, and they also have phone numbers, but you go in here, and this is where you report it. You don't want to give any of your information to that person, but a lot of times you're going to get a phone number, you're going to get an email, you're going to get some kind of information from them. Usually you can tell if it's male or female. Usually you can tell if they have some sort of accent. You may not necessarily know where it's from, but that is important information for them. And you want to let them know what has happened, what transpired, and any kind of communication. A lot of them like to do the WhatsApp stuff and um, different apps that you're not supposed to be able to copy and stuff like that. And so they'll get a little bit looser with their information because you can't save those photos to your phone, but you can take another phone and take a picture of the information that they sent you. Okay. So when there's a will, there's a way. There's more than 9 ways to skin a cat, baby. But I'm gonna go back over here, and I'm gonna. Oh, I should just. I'll just copy and paste this into the chat. But let's stop that. Okay. That being said, remember with any card, always evaluate the cost of the card, which is the percentage rate, any fees, annual membership fee. If you're going to do a balance transfer card, do a fees. A lot of them come out with, they'll give you zero. In fact, I have some of these. They send me an offer of 0% for balance transfer, but they'll charge me a certain amount to transfer that balance over. Now let's just take a look at that. So let's just say you have $1,000 card. You owe $900 on it. Now, let's say you have a annual percentage rate of 20%. So, and you're not able to pay that off that month. So you can either pay 20% interest on that $900 until that $900 is paid off. Usually a $900 balance is going to get, depending on the card, is going to get you a $45 payment, $45 payment. And let's just say $50 payment, just to make it easy on the math. So $900 divided by $50, you're looking at 18 payments, 18 monthly payments. That means every month that that balance is sitting there on that card, you're paying interest on that. You're getting charged every month for the interest. Um, if you get a balance transfer card and they say, well, you will give you 0% interest on the balance you transferred for 10 months, and there's a balance transfer fee of 10%. So let's just say you paid $90 to transfer that balance over, and then you had 10 months to pay that off. That would be $90 you have paid in extra charges as long as you get that paid off in 10 months. So the main thing is know what you're doing and do what you can on, with your money. You got to take care of it if you want it to take care of you. Um, Anything else I can think of? Nope. So about the, let me see if okay. This is the Skagit River Produce Market. This is their Facebook site. I really, oh, look at that. Okay, let's go to, no, no, no. they have a lot of stuff, and people can input their art. It's another little look at those. But if you want to go and see who this is, you need to go to their Facebook page. That's Gadget River Produce, SRP Farmers Market. And it's really cool. It's really cool, especially these days with the way things are going. It's like, yeah, you can go to the store and you can buy the same thing that everybody else can buy. Or, usually when somebody hand makes stuff, usually you can't get more, they don't make a lot. Oh, look at the food. Fresh, fresh food. Um, uh, I got my sign from this guy. But there is so much stuff out here, and local people, look in your area for local artisans, local um, you can find home food that is raised without chemicals. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff out there, and hopefully I'll be out there in April, and I'll have my stuff out there. I'm getting it together right now, but I wanted to show that. And let's see here. Oh, there it is up there. This is the first time home buyers class. And I wonder if we can make this bigger. Okay, so here's the information. I'll leave it up here for a minute. But they have a website up here. But this is a eventbrite.com. I'll include the link in the comment section here. We're in now. But if you hear of things that you're interested in and you think, hit me up. Let me know. Leave a comment. And I hope you enjoy this video. I am going to sign off for now, and you enjoy your day. Be good to yourself and others. All right. Have a good day. Bye bye.